Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Point Alliance's latest edition of Solutions for Success. Thank you for joining us this morning. Our topic today is Microsoft Intune. For those of you who may or may not be familiar with Microsoft Intune, again, it's device management in Microsoft Office 365 as one of the components, and something that we have found recently a number of our clients are quite interested in and have looked at implementing this, especially as an add-on feature to their Office 365 deployment. We're lucky enough this morning to be joined by John Zeri, Chief Executive Officer here at Point Alliance, who has made his way back to the office from the Raptors celebration and parade. So if his voice is a little hoarse this morning, please excuse him, but he is a huge Raptors fan. So without further ado, we will turn it over to John to give you a high-level overview of Microsoft Intune and why we think it's something that you all should be considering for device management. John, over to you.
Thank you, Jonathan, for introduction, and welcome everyone to this month's edition of the Solution for Success. As Jonathan mentioned, Microsoft Intune is part of the Microsoft Office 365 suite of products, which we will go into it semi-in-depth, I would say, for today. So I'm just going to start this thing and go from here. So again, what is the device management? So a key task of the any administrator for tech and secure organization for the resources and data. Traditionally, device management was people would be talking about the mobile devices, but that since has changed, and the Microsoft approach to device management, it is anything connected to a network. So it could be a desktop, your laptop, your phones, and your tablet, and so on. So what's Intune? Again, Microsoft Intune is a cloud-based enterprise mobility management service that helps you protect your workforce to be productive while keeping your corporate data protected. What the Intune can do for you, manage the mobile devices, manage mobile apps, protect your company information, controlling the way that people access the data and how to share it, and also, most importantly, with all those ransomware and other issues that organizations deal with it every day, ensure that devices and apps are compliant with the company's security at all times. So the way that Intune works is a component of the Microsoft Enterprise Mobility and Security Suite that manage devices and apps. It is integrated closely with the Microsoft Azure Active Directory. Of course, through your Active Directory is to identify the users and what type of access they have, and all work together on the Office 365 suite of products. And when you use it with Office 365, you can make people more productive because the way they share information and so on. And we will go to that shortly. Again, this is a small, actually it's a nice diagram kind of explain what's happening. So in the background on the top, you got the Microsoft Azure. On the top of it, you got the Microsoft Intune that you configure devices, protect the data, manage the apps. With your devices, again, you're controlling the on-premises network access, who can access it through your network and so on, depends on the type of the user. You got your mobile defense there for threat protection and so on, and the left side you got reporting and so on. So just I'm gonna jump out of this thing right quickly and go right into the Intune. So this is the dashboard for the Intune, and you can see that once you come in, it shows you that give you overall picture of what's happened with your environment. So here you can see that device enrollment is all good, device compliance, configuration, and client apps and so on. And also you're getting an idea of the type of devices you have on this dashboard. So in this case, we have like a 7 Android and how many iOS, Mac OS, Windows, MiOS, mobile, and so on. And then you look at the compliance status and how many users and those you have. So again, it gives you a great overview of what's happening. So for example, we're going to use today, we're going to use, let's just imagine your organization using iOS devices, and you want to go through the process of enrolling these devices. The nice thing with the iOS or Android, the way it works, you can self-service the whole process. So when you, basically you should be able to open a iOS device out of the box, hand it to the user, and everything happens self-service. And that has a couple of elements. One element is that you need to have your organization set up on the Apple business account. So when you set up that, you're hooking up your, I'm just gonna go here right now. So on the Apple enrollment, what you do, you set up your Intune to talk to your Apple business account. So there's a few things that you need to set up. It's very simple and straightforward. Basically, you're creating a profiles that it does talk with the to the business account. So they share tokens with each other, and that allow you to kind of sync your information on Apple. So you buy a new Apple device, you assign it to your company profile on the Apple business. Once that happens, that device will talk to your Intune, and that device come in a lock format. So it's not just any Apple phone anymore, because the phone recognizes that's a part of a business account. So when you start that iOS phone, it opens up, it displays your company name. So in our case, it's going to say, welcome to Point Alliance. It asks you for your username and password, which is your Active Directory username and password, your Azure AD username and password. You log into that, and based off the profiles, I'm going to show you how to set up all those things today. You're able to enroll devices, and you can organize it based off the departments, based off the job category, and so on. And you can even select it to the level of that certain icon on your iOS device is be placed on this tab or on this page and has this functionality. So once you set up the Apple enrollment and the Apple configurator, then you set up the device configuration, right? So on device configuration, you can see we have a different device configuration here. So in this case, I have it for the bunch of setup here for iOS or Windows 10. And again, as I mentioned, with the device management these days, again, any connected device to your network is a device. So it's not just your mobile phone anymore, your mobile phone, tablets, Windows, and so on. So again, there's lots of settings here, and some of them are very extensive. And that's what we do with our clients. We help them to set up initially the environment, and after that they can maintain it themselves. So in this case, I'm going to just show you a couple of examples of what the profiles that are very common when you set up for the iOS device. One is a email profile. So of course, you want to make sure that the device has an email account on it. So you go to property, and you set up the phone. So the things you need to set up, you're going to say, for example, where is the email server? In this case, it is the Office 365 hosted account. So you put those information, and you kind of tell it what kind of attribute you want to use here. In this case, I want to use our principal name and so on. You set up if you require SSL or not, how you got to authenticate, and once you set up those things, then you can assign it who should be assigned to. In this case, we have assigned it to our device management production, so then we have a group we done for that. Next thing you want to do is a restriction. again, restriction is very extensive, and basically you can change anything you want or set up how you want it. And you can say, you can see how the whole general setting is it. So I'm going to go through this for a second. What people have access or not access. You know, what is how you want your password to be on the devices. Again, you will have two types of devices normally in every organization. One is a bring your own devices, and one is a company issued devices. You can have different setup and restrictions, depends on the type of the device it is. Or for the company issued devices, you can make it more secure, but give them more accessibility to your data. And for bring your own devices, perhaps you don't have the full control of the device because it is their own device, but you just want to give them access to the email, for example. I'm going to protect that and make sure. So again, you can have different settings, and again, with the company issued devices, restriction is easier to implement because it's your device. It is a part of the company policy. You know, and again, for any device, you can get into the, you know, lock screen experiences. In this case, we don't want to show any of the notification on lock screen for security. App Store. Do they have access to App Store or not? One of the nice things about the way that works with the device management it is, the user does not need to have an Apple ID to access the to implement the apps to the devices. So what's happened, you buy the apps on behalf of the company and you push it per device. So license is to the company, not to the user. So the user doesn't have to have an Apple ID in order to have the apps that you have selected for them to be installed on the devices. And that makes the enrollment much easier because you will have the cases that you issue a company a device and the user have their own phone and they don't want to using their own Apple ID on the company device. So this case, they don't have to. They have their own phone with their own Apple ID and they have a company phone that does not require an Apple ID to get access to the company distributed applications. Again, there's lots of options here that you can set, and the company, the type of are you allowed movies to be downloaded, and so on. Again, every option you can find on your, for example, on your device, you will see it here, and so on. So there's a lot of option here. I usually recommend that to start, you know, with the important one and not overwhelm the user, because they also want to make sure the devices are functional and not restricted too much that they are not able to do what they need to do with the device anymore. Again, there's a bunch of options here, and a screen layout is an interesting one. Basically, you can control the screen layout of your app. In the case of iOS devices, how the icons are. So on the home screen, on the bottom of the screen, if you have iOS device, you can set, I want to be your email, the phone, and two other applications. So you can actually set it up how those things are laid out. And I can go to properties here and look at the configuration. So you got a home screen. What's on the dock in this case? I have phone, Safari, Outlook, and a Skype for Business in this case. So on that. And we have 2 pages here. One for Point Alliance, one iOS app. And when you go to this thing, then each page, you can say what app is going to show up on each page. So you can also organize that for the user, which is making the support process is much easier. So somebody calls and you want to walk them through it, you don't have to guess how the phone is set up. All the company issued phones are going to be set up the same way. So that's really reduced the amount of the support required for the IT team or a help desk. And once you do that, we're going to go to the apps. Let's just say you set up all the restrictions. Now you want to give them access to some apps. Again, to set up the apps for the iOS thing, there's an initial setup need to be done, which is very simple and very straightforward. You can do that. This what it does. It does talk to the company Apple Store. So basically, you go, as I mentioned earlier, on behalf of the users, you can go in and select the certain apps they need. So let's just say the basic apps you need is the Outlook app. You want the Microsoft Authenticator, for example, OneDrive, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Word, Excel, and so on. And also maybe you want to give them access. You want to say, you know what, our staff need to have access to the LinkedIn app, so you can add that one. And the apps, you have a choice. Make them available to user or have them be installed on the devices. If you make them available to users, the users go to the company portal on their phone. That's an app by itself, by the way, it's called Company Portal, and there's a catalog there. So the user have a choice of go to catalog and select for one of the application, productivity application you have selected for them, already issued to the app catalog, and they can install it themselves. Or you can say, you know what, everybody needs to have these apps, and we're going to push it on the install. So once you do that, again, you go to the apps here. So we have a bunch of apps here, and you can see, for example, these are the iOS apps. So when you click at iOS apps, let's just say we download this Excel one. There's a property here. You can categorize it the way you want it, for example, to show in the catalog. The important part, it is and also you can see here, display this as a future app in the company portal, because you want to be very visible. Then you go to assignment. So that's the important part. You get the app, what you can do. I can go to the add a group, and there's an option here, available for enrolled devices, required, and also you have an option to uninstall. This is an interesting one. If you need to uninstall the app from the device, you actually needed to add it and have an option to say uninstall. And this is handy when you want to uninstall it from test. Let's just say you enrolled this in the past. Now you want to remove it from their certain devices. You can go here, just uninstall, select your users you have. Again, this is through the for all devices, or no, and then you select a group if you want, and this is your Azure one, so I can type, type one of our teams that we have here, and say, okay, anyone on part of this group will have this app uninstalled or installed. Again, there's a bunch of options here that we have. And yeah, so those are a few things. And the other thing that you have here, the device compliance. This is very important too, to make sure your devices are in a compliance. And you have a bunch of policies here. In this case, I have one for Android and one for iOS. So within the compliance, you can set up the properties, that's what it does. So again, we require that every device to have an email on it. So you can say that's required, for example. So if for some reason the user goes and delete the email profile from the device come on compliance. And also you can do the health thing. Is the device jailbroken? If it is, we're going to block that device and it's come out of the compliance. Device properties. You can say what's a minimum or what's a maximum OS version that users should have. Again, you can control this thing. By the way, you can also force the devices to be updated on the schedule you want to set and those things. But again, these are a few important things. The security, again, is important. Make sure that require a password to unlock. There are certain people that don't have any passcode on their phones. So in case they go remove it, the device become it's not compliant anymore. What kind of password you require, and so on. Once you do that, then you can select an assignment of those, that, okay, that's who is applied to. But the interesting part here that we have under notification, you can create a notification that what kind of those things. So you create this profile and you set it up to say, as soon as the device becomes uncompliant, the email will go to the user to say, okay, your device is not compliant anymore, and you need to take this action. So they know about it, and you can set up the dates. Usually we do up to 21 days. They get an immediate email once the device becomes non-compliant, and then after a week, maybe then the second week on the 21, they get the device get locked. So again, it's up to you and depends what the nature of the problem is. So you can give them as many dates you want, and then you can decide, you know what, maybe you want to give them only 1 week. And you want to be kind of careful about this. The person can be on vacation on those things. So you want to give them enough time to resolve the issue, but not too short of time that they get locked because they were not at work or maybe they were traveling on those things. So that gives them enough time. And if they are not in compliance and the device get locked, then they need to contact IT at that point if the issue is not resolved. And if the issue got resolved at any point, maybe just the iOS was behind, and they go update the iOS, and then the device clear itself, and they don't have to worry about it anymore. When I say clear, the compliance flag will get clear, not the device. On the devices for the security, those things, so when you click on the devices here, you can look at all your devices that you have. Again, there's different type of devices we have. In this case, we have PCs and phones and so on. They're all here. So what this one helps you to do, you can look at one of these things that it tells you that the status of the device is compliant, those things, and any point that in case the device gets locked out or those things, there's a few action, depends on the nature of it. So remote lock, you can wipe the device, you can retire it, you can force a sync. Let's just say you push a new application and you want to have it immediately for the user. So what you can do, you actually can do a force sync. The sync happening depends on the type of the activity. Could take about 20 to the hour, but if you want to make it happen right away, you can force the sync to the certain device and so on. And there's a few other options here. Again, depends on the nature of it, to lock it and so on. And you can look at the property of it and the type of the phone is it, what kind of device category it is it bring your own phone and so on. You can monitor the hardware, really give you lots of information about the device. This is also a great tool for cataloging all your what do you call it? Cataloging all your inventory, so you can see what kind of phones you have, what version they are, and so on. So that's a great way for asset tracking as well. Yeah. I don't know if you have any question or so on. Please, you can type your question in the chat room. Again, this was the tool is very extensive and does lots of great things. Again, it's really amazing for the IT team to manage the device of those things because you can do lots of things. Again, one of my favorite things is that, especially for the larger organization, the self-service model that you can hand the phone to the user, brand new, they get the phone, they get prompted right off the bat if it was associated with the organization, prompt them for the user and password, which is your Active Directory or Azure AD account, the login, and based off the profile and setup you have set up for that user, based off the type of the user it is or department, and everything gets added for them without you even have to be involved with that. And if you have remote connection locations, that's also handy. So you don't have to receive the phone, do a setup for them, then ship the phone. You can just send it to the user with a very basic instruction and get them to start using the phone. Going forward, you want to add an app to them. It's very easy. You want to remove the app. You want to put some configuration. Let's just say, for the phones, you want to make sure people are using a Wi-Fi. So what you can do, you actually can set up a Wi-Fi profile so everybody will be on the company Wi-Fi. And let's just say you change the Wi-Fi password. You don't even have to tell them. You can create a profile for the Wi-Fi. So here on this device configuration, for example, you go to profile. What I can do, I can create a profile here. And for platform, I'm going to say, in this case, because we're doing iOS, I can set up the Wi-Fi or VPN or again, there's lots of different things you can do, but this is a quick way of this. Okay, if it's an enterprise, what is a nickname, what's a SSID, and so on. You can apply it to the devices in one shot, and then everybody will have all this new information, and you don't have to kind of go one by one or notify the users that way. Again, this was only a half an hour session. You know, it could be hours of going through this thing because there's lots of exciting function and features built into the Intune, and that you can handle all the secure those things and really give you a peace of mind about your environment through just going to the dashboard and see what is happening and if everything is in the top shape or not through the dashboard, and control your environment without the fear of any intrusion or a security problem. I'll be happy to answer any question you have. If not, I will email you a copy of this recorded session shortly this afternoon, and I'll be happy to answer your question. You can again reach me at john.zarei@pointalliance.com, and be happy to answer any question you have. And hopefully you find this presentation beneficial, and you will want to get involved. There's a trial version of the available for this thing. Again, you only need to get a couple of trial accounts and test this thing. There's no commitment if you want to try it, but I definitely, we have every organization we have implemented this. They love how tightly it's integrated with Office 365 and Azure AD and those things. So with any other tool out there that you decide to go, and there's a bunch of other high-end device management out there, but they're not integrated tightly with Office 365 and your Azure AD, and you have to set up the user separately and manage it separately. This really is one of the best solutions out there, and with the easiest one to manage and maintain. Again, thanks very much for your time today. I hope you find it beneficial. We look forward to see you at our next installment of the Solution for Success. We run this one the third Tuesday of each month, and look forward to see you next month. Thank you.